Well, thanks for joining me today,
Absolutely.
Jake, for the Indigenous Entrepreneurs podcast. I'd like to just start off with you introducing yourself, who you are, just a little bit about yourself and your story.
My name's Henry Jake Foreman. I go by Jake Foreman, and I was proudly born and raised here in Albuquerque, New Mexico. I definitely think I'm homegrown talent. I went to all the historical schools growing up, Manzano Day School, Jefferson Middle School, and Albuquerque High School, where we're close to right now. I really got interested in entrepreneurship actually as a high school student and middle school student. I was in a band. And so my first lessons around entrepreneurship were how to sell, concert tickets, how to sell t-shirts, how to sell stickers, and really how do we market this band. And I'll date myself, it was actually a ska band. I don't know if you know about ska music. So I played trombone and I sang. And from that, I was able to go to UNM for close to a decade. For 9.5 years, I got my bachelor's in nonprofit management and my master's in community and regional planning. But during that time, I was able to study abroad in Mexico City through the Anderson School of Business. And I learned A, Spanish, and B, really international management. And that really was life-changing for me because A, it taught me that I didn't want to work at a multinational corporation. I was really interested more in community work, working with community, working with people, in poverty, people that have, are from a marginalized community. But really just continued to spark my interest around business. And so during my master's program, I actually competed in the UNM Anderson School of Management business plan competition. First year, I got laughed off the stage. 2 years later, I got first place. It was the first Native American competitions. Really glad to be here at UNM in their Innovation Center.
What was your business plan?
My business plan was called the Carne Colectiva. It was a youth cooperative teaching young people about cooperative economics, teaching them about, just how to build a business. And we were able to use that business to fundraise for trips, bike trips, trips to Hawaii, and other just kind of fundraising efforts.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That sounds pretty related to the work that you do now with New Mexico Community Capital.
Yeah.
So can you talk a little bit about that and what your role is?
Yeah. So going back to once the way that I was able to win the business plan competition was actually because of New Mexico Community Capital. So like I mentioned 2 years earlier, I got laughed off the stage, too much jargon, too much words, not enough financials. So I was able to get paired with a mentor named Peter Holter from New Mexico Community Capital. And he really just drilled in the basics of a business plan, how you deliver your message, and then really going into the actual business model itself. How am I going to earn income from it? Who is my main target audience? And that really refined it to the point that I was able to win this competition because it was very competitive. And I think the reason why I was able to win was because it was a social enterprise. And I see a lot of Native entrepreneurs build these social enterprises that are not just about making a profit, but they're really about giving back to their community. So I feel like, the work that we do at New Mexico Community Capital is really about how do we develop businesses in a way that really, respects and honors our Indigenous identity. So I've been there now for about 4.5 years. I'm a program director there. I help develop all the curriculum and different future projects. And I really instilled this idea of community-based participatory research. So everything we're doing, we're constantly asking our entrepreneurs, hey, does this work? Does this make sense? What do you need? What are the big needs? Definitely physical space, definitely, the digital literacy. It's huge. How to do a podcast, how to do social media. So we really focus on that in the past couple of years is really, doing a tech kind of forward approach so that we're talking about digital literacy as well as financial and business literacy.
That's awesome. Yeah, you guys have a lot of really good programs that Indigenous entrepreneurs can take advantage of. So I'm wondering if you can speak a little more specific of what you guys offer.
So the first program that I was a part of is called the Native Entrepreneur in Residence Program, and that's really our incubator accelerator program. And what was really different about this is that we gave entrepreneurs $15,000 cash, no questions asked. This is your startup funds. So it wasn't a loan, it wasn't an investment, right? Imagine how life-changing that would be,
Yeah.
right? Of just like, what? I have like actually money. So I was able to like quit my job as a high school teacher to really pursue my business. And that's really what people need.
Yeah.
You know, the mentorship is a big part of it. We've been having a hard time fundraising for it, but we're still kind of, you know, we're coming up with a new idea. It's called NEAR.io. So Native Entrepreneurship in Residence, and IO is input output. And that's really signifies technology. How can we pair Native entrepreneurs with the highest in class technology to support their business and still provide the seed funds, still provide the mentorship? So that's one program that we're hoping to launch, hopefully early next year. We're in the process of fundraising for it. Our flagship program right now is our Business and Marketing Essentials course. It's about 15 hours of coursework. Again, people get $1,200 stipend, a Chromebook, actual business toolkit. So a ledger, a lockbox, you know, actual physical items that they could use, and then a digital wallet for subscriptions. We really encourage everyone to get a Canvas subscription and everyone to get a QuickBooks subscription, because those are two big things, right? That like people spend so much money on hiring a website designer when they could do it themselves. People always worry about their financials and taxes. Yeah. So those are kind of crucial for people to just say, hey, you know, just get them, we'll pay for it, you know. So that's really been kind of in our DNA at NMCC. We always provide free trainings with cash assistance, with actual tools that people can use. And we've been successful, you know, that we haven't had to charge anyone for it because we've gotten grants or people to sponsor it.
So who can take advantage of those programs? Do they have to be like here in the city?
No. They could be anywhere around the country as long as they're Native American entrepreneurs. We rely on self-attestation, so we don't, you know, you can put your CIB number in, but you know, if you consider yourself Indigenous, you can apply. Primarily right now, because of grant funding, we have more funds to work with Native women entrepreneurs than Native men. So just depending on who we partner with, sometimes the cash stipends fluctuates depending on how much money we're able to fundraise. But yeah, we're open to anyone around the nation. We're planning our schedule. So it looks like our first Business and Marketing Essentials course is going to happen in September, and then another one in the spring.
So if someone signs up for those programs, what can they expect to learn?
So we definitely have an onboarding process for them. We spent a lot of our resources in the customer relations software, so Salesforce. They first do their intake form. We get a sense of who they are, what their business is about, where they are in their stage of business, and then we ask questions about what are their needs. So we always custom tailor our classes depending to the entrepreneur. Once they get accepted into the course, we have them sign into our community portal platform. So that's where they get more resources, upload their bio, upload their headshot. So now we have really a profile of them. They meet one-on-one with us to get a better sense of, again, where they're coming from. And the first day of class, we ask them, what do you hope to learn in this class about business and marketing essentials? So every time we do a Jamboard, it's usually the same. You know, there's a lot of legal questions. There's definitely financial questions. There's some technology questions in there, and we try to answer them. And then we really build our class around dialogue, because there's a lot of experts, you know, entrepreneurs that have been in business and can share from their own experience about, you know what, I didn't like QuickBooks. I tried FreshBooks. I like it better. There you go. Cool. You get to decide. We start off with a household budget. So that's usually our first step, is everyone filling out a monthly budget. And this is helpful for a couple reasons. A, because not many people do a monthly budget, but B, you could do a lot in terms of projections, in terms of goal settings, just by knowing about how much money is coming in, how much money is going out. You know, I mean, right? I mean, do you do a household budget?
Yes, I do.
Right? What did you learn from it?
Well, so we actually get paid monthly at UNMI, so I was pretty much forced to do that.
Right?
Yeah,
Exactly.
but it helps me see, okay, these are my essential expenses that that are not flexible. So I need to make sure I can cover these. This is my flexible expenses, and then here's how much money I have after all those expenses.
And that's helpful, right? To be able to get a sense of where you're at. We then do financial goal setting. So what's your 3-month goal? What's your 6-month goal? What's your year goal? And then what's your 5-year goal?
Yeah.
And that, again, really, it's so important to do. even if it's just for yourself, so you can see that and said, hey, you know what, 6 months ago I said I was going to save this much. Did I do it? And that self-accountability is so huge. So we start off in that way, then we go deeper into, again, practicing telling your story. Did you take the public speaking, in college?
I did.
What was that like for you?
I've definitely gotten better and more confident in public speaking, but starting off with this job, like 4 years ago, my coworkers say, yeah, you're way more confident now than you were 4 years ago.
And that confidence is so important, right? Especially as an entrepreneur, because you're literally selling, your products or services. So we do public speaking a lot. And we have people introduce themselves, their names, their home, where they call home, and an ancestor that inspired them. And this is a practice to start getting ready for the pitch presentation, because again, they're gonna have to explain that. But B, it really starts to build rapport amongst the cohort. Really, where are you coming from, right? We were just talking about where were you born?
Yeah.
I mean, genuinely, where were you born?
Santa Fe.
Santa Fe, right?
Yeah.
Up north and all that culture that's up there. Get a better sense of you, and build that empathy together. So after we do the monthly budget, we introduce ourselves, and then we go deeper into, a business plan. Particularly, a lot of people have questions about how do I do my business plan. It's usually something that's like a big barrier for people to access loans or, capital. So we go over the basics of a business plan. We go basics of a marketing plan, because usually a lot of times people don't know the difference between branding and marketing. We go over that. We help people start to build their own marketing brand, and their professional brand. So it's a little bit of public speaking, who you are, what skill sets do you have, and what are your future goals. We go deeper into what's your color palette, that you want to use for all your social media, the geeky kind of art stuff, right? That is so important. We go over logos, social marketing, ways to really get your brand out there. We do activities about creating your own commercial, right? And I think that's really exciting to just get people engaged that, we have this new media out there. How do you create a podcast for your business? How do you create a commercial? How do you really, get out there to expand your network? Because a lot of times I think our entrepreneurs are coming from rural communities, right? And a lot of them, they feel isolated, even within their community. So we're really wanting to help people expand their network, expand their brand. And then, of course, the financials, the business and marketing essentials, you have to go over financials. And that's, the number one thing that we really see is like lacking. It's just people understanding, how to read income statements, how to create their own balance sheet, how to understand, what your assets and liabilities are. So we end the course with a pitch presentation, similar to Shark Tank. Again, they have 4 minutes, so we have them complete their pitch in the course. Most people use Canva or work in Google Workspace, like using a Jamboard or slides. So yeah, it's really that's usually my favorite part, because people get to really introduce themselves and their business, get critique and feedback, and it's an iterative process. We have people taking the course, like in some cases, like over 4 times. Just to continue, right? That's what you need, right? Yeah.
I think at least just what I've heard from our program and the interviews we've been doing, you guys really serve as a essential and key resource to if not like most of the Indigenous entrepreneurs we've spoken to. And like through our program, we've done a lot of assessing those needs and barriers. And your program really helps hit most, if not all of those.
And I love what you all are doing, because you're able to continue that, right? It's like you mentioned, right? Like I just was working on a pitch earlier today, right? I mean, that's what you do as an entrepreneur, as a professional. I was just putting together a pitch deck. It's my probably 100th pitch deck, right?
Yeah.
But I'm still learning. I'm still figuring it out. So it's one of those things that like it's a cyclical process, of growth. And I love that you all are, have this program and all the different coaches and mentors that you have, because that's what we need.
Yeah.
We need the continued mentorship, continued programming, being able to feel like they're, included even in a space like this at UNM. It's so important that our entrepreneurs, like feel valued,
Yeah.
feel seen. So
Mhm.
yeah, thank you
And
for the work that you do.
that's one of our goals is, to create that bridge, because right now there's certain spaces that don't feel welcoming. So we're trying to help create a more welcoming environment. Like, yes, you belong here in this room doing this thing that you're doing.
And that happens a lot. So going back to confidence, people like don't feel like they're in business. They're like, oh, I'm just doing this for fun.
Yeah.
It's like, no, you are an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
You're doing it.
You're a business owner.
Exactly.
What are some success stories? I know you guys have a lot of them, and I've probably heard a lot of them, but I want to hear what your favorites are.
Well, we just got back from El Paso and Isleta del Sur Pueblo, and that's been a really exciting partnership. Because again, we started working with them over a year ago. We just did our class, Business and Marketing Essentials course last year, and then we went back down to do another course. So we had one of the students from last year come and present, and they had a mobile RV repair business. We helped them with their logo, their business plan, and I was just like unsure because it was a new business. They were going to leave their jobs, and I was like, whoa, good luck. Like, we got you to a point, and over a year later, they're just sharing how they're in business. It's a full-time job. They've exceeded their expectations in terms of projections, and they've just really kind of shared that, what we were able to share about was really valuable. And at first they're like, what do they know about mobile RV repair? And they're like, it's not about that. It's about those essential elements of creating a successful business are the same, right? Focusing on the marketing, focusing on your financials, putting a business plan together and coming up with a strategy. So that's just one example that I was like, it's just good to hear. Because I worry, sometimes, after we do the course, it's like, I wonder if they're still using their computers or actually doing their business. So it's great to hear people actually following through and exceeding expectations.
That's one of the things that's kind of hard with this line of work is sometimes, you do that nurturing and you give them what they need, and then you have to let them go. And then you're like, you don't hear from them, mostly because people just get busy. And then you're like, hey, how are you doing? Did this program help? And from what I've heard, your programs really are helpful.
Yeah, and it's all about you at the end of the day. I have to say this, you all know this. Any of those questions you have, you can essentially Google them. That's why we give people a computer. Because I'm like, I can answer questions for you, right? But like, you have to learn on your own. And sometimes it is like a sink or swim, right? Because like sometimes you just either have to do it or you don't. It's up to you.
And that's the thing, I think, for entrepreneurs, you can train and you can handhold to a certain extent, but then in order to be successful, you have to learn how to figure things out on your own.
You know what I love? Stories that I love are the stories where someone said they wanted to do something, tried it, didn't work, and completely pivoted to something different. I love those stories too, because that shows that people tried it out,
and then you figured out, okay, how do I adapt, evolve, and keep going?
Including myself, I was like, I'm now an educator working for an amazing organization, and that wouldn't have happened if I didn't start a business. So even though I'm not in my business and I felt guilt about it, and I was like, oh my gosh, I'm a failure, it just was a transformation into another opportunity. So I also love those stories where people are able to really switch their careers up. That's a success as well.
And you need people like yourself who have actually gone out and done it. So you're not just someone who, because going to business school is a lot different than actually starting a business.
And most people that I went to business school with would consider the business I had was a hobby, right? I mean, that's the other part of it. Like, business school is great, don't get me wrong, but you're talking about multinational corporations, you're talking about major business.
You're training to go work for a business.
Exactly. Not be your own entrepreneur. So I'm glad there's programs outside of the conventional spaces that are teaching people this, because I wish I had it. Growing up.
So another thing I'd like to talk with you about is your position with Grow with Google and what you've been doing with that.
Ooh. Well, I love telling that story because I always share it's like with my big game hunting, and it really was. So at the time, we were fundraising and, working in nonprofit, you're always fundraising, looking at other grants. And, I used Workspace throughout my college career, but no one ever taught me it, right? You just had it, you had Gmail, but no one actually went and shared, like, this is how you used your Drive. This is how you can use all these different tools. So when we were putting together a curriculum, usually all workbooks, whiteboard, usually non-native person teaching. I was like, no, let's change it up. Let's go full digital. Digital literacy is something so important that we need to really embrace. And, the Workspace has changed my life. So I'm on it every single day. I'm using it for collaboration, communication. So I reached out to Google and I just shared about the work that we were doing, how we're using the products, and they actually responded back. And they brought a film crew out right before the pandemic, and they filmed one of our courses. And from then, it just really expanded the whole Google network for me because, they don't have an organizational chart online. You can't just search, who's this person? I want to talk to them. You have to really go seek. And I went to Googleplex, I went to Google Austin, I went to Google New York. I mean, like to these places, invites, just on a prayer, literally. And I was able to connect with folks. And it's evolved into this position of being their first Grow with Google digital coach for Indigenous communities. Yeah. Really proud of it. I really feel like they have strong commitment towards entrepreneurs and Native entrepreneurs. And now we're building ideas on strategic, relationships and bigger visions for tribes and entrepreneurs. So I'm really excited. There's more to come. I can't share, but expect big changes in Google Workspace. Expect some new opportunities for Native entrepreneurs. And again, I have free trainings that I offer to the community. I'm going to do one every month for the rest of the year, and then do custom trainings for programs like yourself, tribes, and really focus on, reaching out to tribal leadership.
Yeah, I think Google, I don't even know it as well as you do, but just as a tool, especially for people starting their business, it's free.
It's free.
There's you can do everything on there. Exactly. You get access to Word documents, to Excel. My fiance just started his photography business. We've been using Google Drive to deliver photos and all of that. And so I think it's a really good thing to raise awareness because a lot of people don't even think about using it as a tool. They think you have to purchase all this software in order to start up and be professional, and you don't.
Right? I know, you just have to be a freak in the sheets, as they say. I was going to stop using that, but really, right? Once you know spreadsheets, you can do everything. There's even apps called Smartsheet that really actually create apps from your spreadsheet. So everything that you need, you could be done from a spreadsheet. So I really encourage people to just focus in on that, use it. I've lost so many papers not using Google Workspace and Google Docs that that's why I use it every day. Because I can tell you how many, edits of drafts I've had during college. So
and I know through your job with Grow with Google, there's also opportunities for people who aren't entrepreneurs, but maybe are looking for a career change or learning to learn a new skill. What are those programming that they can
so
take advantage
definitely grow.google. Check it out. There's an amazing website of other resources for veterans, for people previously incarcerated, for teachers and educators. They offer new professional certificates like in IT support, project management, digital marketing, and e-commerce. So those professional certificates are amazing. They're about 6 months to complete, but they also help you with job placement. So new career opportunities, especially people living in remote locations, it's a great opportunity to be able to expand their skill set and opportunities. So.
Yeah, that's where I think digital literacy and improving broadband access is so essential, especially to people who want to live in their rural home communities. You can get that training and then you can work remotely. So my future thinking, and that would be great for New Mexico in general.
I know, it's amazing how the pandemic was tough, and it really forced us all online in a way. And but it also created new opportunities. I have meetings with folks from all over the world, every single day, right? Using Google Meets. So it really expands your opportunities for yourself. And it's really, self-paced. And that's has the pros and cons. Because I feel like, as Indigenous people growing up in rural communities, we like that in-person dialogue, connection. So we need to create that balance between this digital learning and then also this kind of humanizing.
Yeah, because you don't want it one extreme or the other, and you need to, like you said, have that balance, especially culturally.
Yeah, and we have those dialogues, and it comes up. There's definitely some pros and cons about getting online, and it's a tool.
Yeah, exactly.
It's simple that it's a tool. It's how you use it. So yeah, love to share that.
Well, what are some final thoughts or like words of encouragement you'd have for someone who's thinking of starting their business and maybe they're a little hesitant to start? What are some words of encouragement?
This is something that someone told me that I really took to heart. Save and invest in what works best. And so just don't keep hitting your head on the wall if it's not working out. Try something else, right? If your photography business is working, what's working about it? I'll just share, when I look for in a photographer, I look for workflow. It's one thing to take the quality shots, but I want to know how this person is going to upload those videos, share it with me, do it in a timely manner. So those little things make a big difference. Customer service is always going to be so important, and I encourage people to read their emails, respond to their emails. You know what I'm talking about. As a program manager, it's stay in communication because it is very unprofessional. And it's something that I am dealing with too, right? I only have so many times in the day to respond back. It's very hard for me to respond back to, but make the effort. Make the effort to respond and stay in communication. Yeah.
So how can people connect with New Mexico Community Capital and grow with Google?
Yeah, well, definitely check out our website, NMCCAP.org. I'm listed, my email's listed on the website. Again, grow with Google, grow.google. You could just Google me, my name, digital coach, it'll all come up. I'll be sending more future workshops to you that you could send out to the listserv. Love to stay connected to all the entrepreneurs that you work with, all the amazing coaches. And really, this idea of collaboration and not competition.
Definitely.
I think that's another thing that I learned, right? It's we all need to collaborate. There's enough for all of us. And, the more that we collaborate, bigger things happen. And so.
Yeah, that's where, with our program, this first year has been a lot of discovery of what's out there, because we're learning about needs and barriers, but we don't want to create anything that's already created. So we've done a lot of referrals.
I love that. I love that strategy too. That you were thoughtful about that.
Yeah.
Sometimes people like to come in and be like, we're gonna do this. There's all these other people have done it, and really finding your niche is another key thing. It's what are you really good at?
I feel like we're just a super connector, honestly. That's our main role.
Good, right? And that's a great role to have, because really connecting people is so important. And just also being here in this institution, is so important to be able to have that type of support and outreach to other communities.
Well, thanks for taking the time to speak with me and to share a little bit about your journey and then about the programs that you help run.
Likewise.
We're really just trying to raise more awareness, get the word out there to urban natives, but then also rural New Mexico.
And that's what we're always thinking about too, is how do we expand our reach to just people, right? That need help. I mean, that's the bigger thing that we're really thinking about. How do we work with businesses here in downtown? How do we work with other rural students, that are coming from other communities? So look forward to collaborating.
Yeah, we can definitely help connect you guys in with places that we might be connected to that you might not have made the connection yet. Because like I said, there's a huge need out there that you guys are already filling. And then maybe by showing that you guys are feeling that need, we can help you get more funding.
And we need more help for
Yeah.
mentorship, so we'll follow up too, to
Awesome.
have that aftercare. Thank you.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, have a great day.